The Attitude Era is an interesting time period in wrestling. And there's a lot of crazy shit that WWE did. Whether it's Mae Young getting her tits out. Who said yes to that? That man has issues.
I don't know. This young man is wanting to give her a few pounds, I think. Make it rain.
Mae Young also gave birth to a hand. Val Venus almost had his pee-pee chopped off. And one of my favorites is Vince McMahon threatened to divorce his wife, put her in a mental institution, had her drugged, made out with his mistress in front of her, ogled at his daughter in a way which is not cool, and then at WrestleMania, the mistress undrugs the wife and she kicks him in the nuts. So, my question for you is, what were your favourite crazy Attitude Era moments?
I don't know. I would just say you just named all these moments, and some people question me talking to Skarsgård, the dilapidated boat. I mean, really. Mae Young had a hand on, this isn't that far off. The most outrageous moment to me was Mae Young having a hand. I mean, she was quite full of life. She was truly a vibrant, resplendent woman. But I must say, when she was there and Mark was the father and she had a hand, it was the most absurd thing I have ever seen. And the seven deities absolutely agree with me. They don't even believe it, and they live in time and space.
So were you there at Raw that day? Like, did you know she was going to give birth to a hand? Or did someone just come in the locker room and go like, Mae Young gave birth to a fucking hand?
I just knew she was in labor. I didn't know what she was giving birth to. And considering how insane things were that time, it could have been anything, you know.
Do you think because the Attitude Era, obviously WrestleMania 17 is the time that most people would signal as the end of the Attitude Era. Is that when you would signal the end of it? When did you realise that it was it wasn't quite going to be what it was anymore?
I think one of the biggest issues that created that whole environment, the slowing down of wrestling and the end of the Attitude Era, was whenever WCW went out of business and it was absorbed by Mick Mahan, and it was right after that pay-per-view. The first time I noticed that business had slowed down was it was a live event. It was in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and we had been in. Whenever I first started on the road with WWE, which was in 98, 97, right towards the end of 97, 98 we signed, and then in 98 we started on the road. Every night was a sellout, no matter where it was in the world. In the United States, no matter, it was a sellout. We do 10 days straight, it would be 17,000, 20,000, 27,000, 22,000, 23,000, 18,000. Every night, the building was packed, sold out. The first time we went to a venue and the building was less than half full was there in Vancouver. And I think the building held 16,000 people and there were 7,000 people. And that was the first sign of the times that things were different. And I think it was very confusing, one, because now WCW went out of business. All the WCW guys show up on WWE on Mick Mahan's show, and there's a million new guys that the WWE audience isn't familiar with. And they're trying to get all these guys over. They're trying to build their characters on TV. A lot of their regular favorite WWE guys are off TV, and they're having an interpromotional war, yet they can still appear on the show. There was so much insanity, so much stuff that was confusing, that didn't make sense from a wrestling fan's perspective. I think a lot of fans just said, I don't get it, I'm going to tune out. And also, when Vince didn't have WCW hot on his trail, it didn't force him to be edgy or different or creative. He knew he had the only ball game in town, and he had big sponsors coming in, and his goal to that point was just continue to get the revenue money, get the ad money, get the sponsor money coming in, and it necessarily wasn't to make the product the best it could possibly be. And I think all of those ingredients together is the recipe that led to the wrestling business slowing back down again.
And was that frustrating for you guys? Because you guys, by that point, just after WrestleMania 17, you guys are starting to work with Steve Austin and Triple H, and you're starting to work with the top guys on the roster. Is that frustrating for you that as that's happening, there's all this stuff going on, and then they bring in all the prelim WCW guys and mid-card guys, there's none of the big names really, and then the alliance happens, and Stephanie's the owner, and all this weird stuff. Like, was it frustrating for you that just as you guys were maybe about to get even further, that it tangled?
It certainly was. It was a frustrating time in general, just because we had done well at establishing ourselves. We had as a tag team with all of the TLC matches, the series of matches with, Edge and Christian and the Dudleys were very established, and we were starting to build momentum even as individuals a little bit at this time. So yes, it was very frustrating that we kind of had to take a couple steps back just to help build up the newer WCW guys. When in reality, I think, Mick Mahan could have just created another show or distributed the talent. He could have had a WWE and he could have had a WCW and he could have ran it that way. But I think that's his ego. That was his pride getting the best of him, because he just wanted everyone to see when it was all said and done, no, WCW's my bitch. And that's how that Mick Mahan is. You have to be very wary of him.
I will.
All that money in his pocket, but never once thought about costing me $16 million when he kicked me in the head. And so, I regret that I got injured by a guy that couldn't wrestle and has no business of being in a Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Shame.